Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of Backstage in WWE. Special because we're doing something nobody has ever done before. I think it's fair to say, especially in the WWE podcasting world. I could even say wrestling. In the wrestling podcasting world, this is the most original idea anyone has ever come up with. Yes, I'm talking to you, Dave and Brian. Go F yourself. I don't mean that literally. But I'm very proud of this, and so is Dino, because we took something that we were just BSing about at work, and it turned into something really cool. Um, Brad, hello, hi, hi, hi.
Hi. Yeah, is it my turn to speak?
It is.
Cool.
I have to put myself over somehow.
Yeah. Well, I do that plenty myself on Twitter, so I
You
guess it's
do?
your turn to do
You
that.
do? Yes, I keep quiet on Twitter. I tweet about video games, life, wrestling, and you get your turn during the podcast. Well, during Twitter rather. No, so I came to you with this idea. Well, so we're gonna call this the WWE Butterfly Effect. And for those of you who've never seen the Butterfly Effect the movie, I saw it a long time ago. It was about one moment, time traveling, changing everything. Hence, if you kill a butterfly, it could change the course of history. You know, so we're gonna take that and put it into wrestling terms. Now, what were your thoughts as soon as I brought the idea to you? Like, what the fuck is this guy thinking?
Well, you must be a big fan of Ashton Kutcher movies. That's my first thought.
Ashton Kutcher. So he wasn't in that movie, was he?
I think he was in that movie, yeah.
Was he really? I have to fact check that. I don't think he was. I think you're wrong. Well, it was a serious movie. Has he ever been in a serious movie? Oh my God, he was.
Yeah, I'm
2004.
Right. Yep.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Well, anyway, despite Brad's criticism of everything that I do, I wanted to bring something different to the table that really no one has done, and I think will be fun. We always say, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that? Well, we're going to do that. So we tossed around a few ideas, displayed a couple last week on the show, and the one that I think it was Dean that he came up with was, what if John Cena was fired in 2002? Now, Bradley, I'll let you give a little background. I was not watching at that point. I was only 9 years old. So from your memory banks, give a little background on what could have happened and what almost did happen.
So essentially, John Cena was in developmental and got called up to the main roster in 2002.
Ruthless aggression.
Ruthless aggression, slapping Kurt Angle, blah, blah, blah. The rest is history. But a lot of people would tell you that he was brought up to the main roster too soon. And because of that, that actually worked against him. So, yeah, he worked in OVW for a while. That's really where he gained a lot of his wrestling experience.
Where Paul Heyman trained a bunch of other wrestlers.
It was quite the class in OVW, and a lot of big names came from OVW. So it's a credit to their program. But yeah, so he was called up, and there was probably different reasons for that, maybe political, and it nearly cost him his career because he was called up too soon. And Vince McMahon didn't see anything in him and was going to release him. But Stephanie McMahon actually took a liking to him and lobbied for him, and he stayed. He stayed because of Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon, you could argue she single-handedly saved John Cena and the Cena era in WWE.
Yeah. Well, essentially, she saved the WWE itself. So before we get into what you and I think, I told Dean it's only fair that he spits his fire, if you will, before we do. because I don't want to steal his thunder. I mean, I'll steal yours all the time, but I don't want to steal his. So this is Mr. Dean dropping an elbow about what could have been if John Cena was fired 16 years ago.
So the elbow gets dropped this week on John Cena. John Cena, you're fired. Had there been no John Cena build-up to Super Cena, it would have affected the Infinity Wars. Because Batista would have never been Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Take us back to the time period where John Cena would have been fired. So I think the main focus of where the company would have gone, you have to point to WrestleMania 21, and that's where John Cena won his first championship against JBL. In looking at that card, and I kind of paged through WrestleMania a bit, I've got to believe that based on how everything played out, and that's the one where Batista chose Triple H to fight and kind of turned face on him. So that left JBL without an opponent, and they had a match between Cena and Angle. But I don't think Angle would have been the one to do it because Angle was heel, JBL was heel. I don't think they'd have gone in that direction. So I think instead of at WrestleMania 21 where you get Angle versus Shawn Michaels, you would have gotten that on TV, and then Shawn Michaels would have been the one to defeat JBL and get another run with the WWE Championship. Edge won the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 21. He also got the chance to grow his career through that channel with his rivalry with John Cena. I think that still happens. It still happens because Edge would have one hell of a rivalry with Shawn Michaels. The biggest change, though, is who is your face that runs the place for that many years? And I've got to believe at that point, it's Batista. Batista is the prototype, no pun intended, John Cena, of the guy that Vince wants at the top leading the company. And he was over. He turned face. He beat Triple H. I believe that he is the one that gets the long-term run, thus affecting his career in Hollywood, where he becomes the one that's the Marine originally, and that doesn't allow him to do things like Drax as Guardians of the Galaxy. So, Batista's the guy. I don't think it's as PG an era. I think it affects things like Make-A-Wish. I think WWE's involvement with them is still prominent, but honestly, John Cena has done more for that organization than anybody ever did. But here's the other thing that I think happens, and I'm going to be interested to hear what you guys think about this. First of all, the most important thing that happens is there's no spinner belts, thank you God. Well, John Cena doesn't go away. I think John Cena goes to the Indies a little bit and ends up in a place called TNA, where he tears it down with a rivalry with someone by the name of AJ Styles. And maybe, just maybe, John Cena. And
well, technical difficulties.
WWE.
There we go.
Circa 2015. And maybe he's the one now rivaling Batista. The elbow's been dropped on John Cena, gentlemen. Take it over.
So, your thoughts?
Well, I completely agree that the top guy would have been Batista.
Me too.
It had to be because there was two top guys at the time with Cena and Batista, and you had Raw and SmackDown, and they were separate brands. And you had and the two top guys were Cena and Batista. And the company chose John Cena over Batista. They were looking for a face of the company. They had a decision between John Cena and Batista, and they chose John Cena. And that's the bottom line. And they gave a lot of the opportunities as far as outside of WWE stuff to John Cena, and not a lot of that to Batista. And of course, we saw he ended up, very successful in Hollywood himself outside of what Cena's done. So, yeah, certainly Batista could have done that. Now, I think Cena was probably the better choice for face of the company.
No doubt.
But, Dave Batista, I believe he would have been a solid face of the company. And he certainly could have done those appearances. Dave is a different kind of presence than John Cena, but that's not necessarily always bad. It's just different. And, I'm a Batista fan, and I don't quite know what it is they didn't like that he went outside of WWE when they wouldn't give him the opportunities he wanted and found him on his own. But yeah, it would have changed a lot. Batista would have been the face of the company. I have to believe that. And John Cena, what would he have done? He would have continued maybe in the Indies. Maybe he would have gone to TNA or Impact Wrestling as it is now.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't think it would have mattered, right? I mean, they don't have a history of making stars.
No.
Certainly they may wrestle there, but they don't create stars. Nobody's a megastar there because not many people watch the show. So I don't think it would have had a big impact if he went to Impact, no pun intended.
No.
So, maybe he would leave wrestling altogether. I don't know. But I think Batista would have been the guy, and you would have missed out on a lot of the great Cena moments.
John, I think it's fair to say that John Cena helped elevate Edge's career just as much as Edge elevated John Cena's career. Those two were so influential at a time where they were just now starting to leave the TV 14, and it was that in between years that led them into the PG era. But that was so. I mean, I know you had Evolution still going on, and that's great. And you had the women were a complete joke. I would tell them that to their face. They were so bad, and now they have some relevance. But John Cena and Edge it was good for the sport at the time, and there's nothing that I could think that could have even replicated that. Batista, yes, would have been the number one guy. And I'm okay with that. I love Batista. It's great. I can't believe they ignored him leading up to 34, but that's another story for maybe at the end of the show. But what if Shawn Michaels? Why does it have to be just Batista though? Wouldn't Shawn Michaels consider staying in 2002? Because he left for 4 to 5 years, and I get that he had a back problem, but you know what? When money talks. You find a way to stay. Maybe
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that Sean would have stayed, and certainly, he was never the biggest draw as a champion.
No, but he was beloved by everybody, and.
I mean, he would have had really good matches, so the Smarks would have loved that. But, when it came to mainstream, he's, 5'10", 195 pounds. And, so he just was never a huge draw as champion. But, what about the feud with Randy Orton? Cena and Randy Orton, before they wrestled 400 times, they actually started out having a good, intense feud and some good matches. And so that was, two guys vying to be top in the company sort of deal. Mm-hmm. And so those are some fun matches. And so you have that. I mean, would Batista have squashed Nexus?
Yeah. Would Triple H have stayed on top as a face and not turned heel? Because Trips turned heel before DX reunited in 2007-ish. Yeah, about that. H was the monster heel kicking ass, taking names. He was the big shot of the company. He could do whatever the hell he wanted. But I mean, we don't know if Batista would have panned out properly, so they would have had to go to a plan B. And Trips was that guy. He was already established. JBL couldn't be the top babyface. Mysterio was too small. You like that? He was too small. Does Edge? Edge was so great as a heel. He wouldn't have been a top babyface for the company. So if again, let me ask you this: if Batista would not have worked out, what the hell were you going to do?
That's a good question. Yeah, and they've been through some really rough periods, how they presented talent and frankly, sometimes the talent they had on the roster.
Yeah.
They didn't always have those Batistas or Cenas as fallback plans. So
no, they didn't.
It would have been. I think it would have been really interesting for sure. They've relied on Cena a lot. He's been ultra reliable, and that would have filled quite a void. And that's whether you like Cena's work or not. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the John Cena character by any means, but the facts are the facts.
He was what he has done for that company is almost incomparable. Almost. Let's take what he means to the business and fast forward to the almost to present day. Cena not only helped get Edge over as a wrestler performer, he also helped CM Punk become the top guy in the company. I don't think there's a CM Punk if Cena isn't there to do it.
That's actually a great point, John, because a lot of that hardcore fan base was rejecting the John Cena, and they liked the anti-hero in CM Punk.
Yeah.
And it was like CM Punk needed that John Cena-like character to really give him the boost with the audience. And if you had Batista,
I'm sure he would have done fine.
He would have done fine, but it would have been different because I just don't think it would have seemed as unlikable.
It wouldn't have been.
Whereas Cena seemed very forced. The Superman, the Super Cena, that sort of a deal. I don't think it would have worked with Batista, or certainly not as well.
I don't think so either. Especially in wrestling, every Batman needs a Joker, right? Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, CM Punk, John Cena. I'll even, take it down to NXT. Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. Your babyface is only as good as the heel is. You need the biggest bad guy in the world to make a good guy just that much likable. Batista would not have done that for CM Punk. And you can even argue, leading on that, without CM Punk, when does the next era begin, and who does it start with? There's no Bryan without Punk. There may be no Adam Coles or Garganos or.
Well, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Oh, shut up! But you can't take away the fact that they are popular to a certain audience that watches the product just for them. That indie style, small guy,
sure,
high work rate kind of wrestler. It's popular to many people.
Well, I wouldn't say to many. I would say to a niche audience. But yeah, there's no disputing that.
So what Cena now? I think a really important part is the business aspect of it. I'll disagree with you slightly. I don't see at all Batista doing, or anyone doing, what Cena did for Make-A-Wish. I don't. I will fight for that till the end.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know, right? I mean, it's hard to say.
It is hard. Do they even go to a PG product without John Cena? Do they stay at TV-14 and risk that?
No, I think they still have to go PG.
Okay.
Just because of the advertising revenue.
But who do you sell Mattel to, right? You don't have the flashy like Kanes, Undertakers anymore that were so, beloved by kids. You had John Cena beloved by kids and Rey Mysterio. Right? Is that it? It sounds like it. As far on a really popular level.
You got Blue Tista.
Blue Tista.
He's got new gear. It's blue gear, and you call him Blue Tista. And you market that to kids. Yeah.
Yes. It's that easy. It's that easy, kids. I don't see them doing nearly a good enough job with the PG product. Does Vince pull a trigger on something different because it's not working? Do they say, well, F this, F that? I don't think this is going to work. Sorry, let's go back to the drawing board and let's input, let's get a little edgier a lot sooner. Does that screw them over? Does Vince get nervous? And what if Cena does go to TNA or Impact Wrestling?
Well, that's kind of like if a tree falls in the woods and no one hears it, doesn't make a sound.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's a very good point.
No, I think in life, not just pro wrestling, but in life in general, it's weird how things kind of happen and how they fall into place. And how just something so simple, like a decision of keeping a talent who's a nobody at the time, could have changed the entire course of history for the company in a major way.
Yeah.
I think if they don't have John Cena, this could have changed history in a major way.
I think it could have too. It certainly would have helped other wrestlers be put in a more prominent spot. But who's to say that the same amount of people that were watching because of John Cena are still watching the goddamn thing?
Who would have put over Lord Tenzai on Monday Night Raw?
You're not kidding. You
have done that, pal.
Well, I think the reason that Batista quit was because of John Cena. Because he wasn't getting the push that he wanted. So
getting the opportunities.
Cena was getting all of them. Batista wanted his spot. We all know that. He might deny it forever, but he's a liar. He wanted to be that top guy, and they wouldn't do it because they already had it. They already had it. What was the point?
Well, I believe in having 2 or 3 top guys.
Me
and
too.
Not relying on a single point of failure.
Because
that's really what you're doing when you have one top guy and you do everything possible to get him over, to make him look strong, etc., at the expense of everybody else. It's like what they're doing with Roman Reigns now. And you're actually, you're hurting your other talent. And, and then what do you have left if there's no Roman anymore? And so to me, it just makes sense to have 2 to 3 top guys always at that top level in the mix who are reliable. Mm-hmm. That type of a thing. But, maybe they'll do that one day. But, that's what they had. They had the John Cena.
They had the John Cena, and luckily, not just for us as wrestling guys, but as... Cena's, because of the position that he was in, it's not just about what he was able to do for people everywhere, but now look at him. He is a movie star. He is. He just got booked for one of The Rock's as the lead role, one of The Rock's movies, and The Rock doesn't dick around in Hollywood. He only does big gigs. He wouldn't have hired Cena if he didn't think that he could at least help or do something. I just think it's so interesting.
Yeah, Cena is he's ultra committed to WWE. In fact, Nikki Bella probably wishes he was that committed to her.
I agree. That's not making fun of Nikki Bella. That's a shoot. So at least we know what we have. Is Randy Orton as important as popular as he became? Is Randy Orton as successful? You think?
Randy Orton would have done well regardless. It certainly helped him to have John Cena. But Randy would have been successful regardless. Randy was never face of the company material.
No.
So he's not someone I would have considered like in place of Cena. I mean, I would have taken Batista over Orton as well, obviously. So, but yeah, I still think he would have been successful.
I think so too. Well, no, I don't. I don't think to the extent that we all believe, but I think he would have been, in a way. And here's the question, and then I think this will end our conversation on that. They had a vision for Cena when he started to become the guy. The plan will be eventually to have him defeat Ric Flair's championship record of 16. Who do they handpick to do that instead? Or does anyone do it?
I don't think anyone does it. I don't think anyone does it.
It's interesting. Because that's big. That's jeez. That's been the thing for 4 years now. We all knew it was coming. Maybe Triple H stays and does it. Maybe he doesn't leave. Maybe because he's a face, he gets a couple more title runs.
Well, you know, as long as he's COO and his father-in-law's the CEO and he's booking himself in a big match every year at Mania, he can, write himself in to win 20 more titles if he wants because it's fake. It doesn't mean he's any better than the all-time greats, but, certainly that's his prerogative to keep penciling himself in to do that stuff and put himself over.
Can't argue there. Well, I mean, I think that any final thoughts before we move on to a couple of other things? I think we summarized it pretty well.
Yeah, it was nice to just kind of brainstorm out what we think could have happened, and without getting too into the weeds. I mean, you could get into the weeds of, well, this year Cena did this on Raw and blah blah blah. That's boring as hell. But just kind of like a high level kind of brainstorming what could have happened. That was fun. And I'm looking forward to do it again. And I hope that everyone listening will tweet us with some suggestions for a new one.
I will take the executive action. And I think the next one that we should do, and it was actually your idea last week. And we're going to do these once a month. So actually at the beginning of every month we can do it. Next one will be the beginning of June. What if Magnum TA never got into that car accident? I don't know a lot about that, so I'm going to be excited to read about it. But after talking over it with Dean over the weekend, he said that could have been just as impactful as Cena getting fired.
Well, duh. That's why I brought it up.
Hey, I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn.
Sit under my learning tree.
So Magnum TA, he was something special, or could have been, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And I look forward to you kind of looking into that and having that conversation in a few weeks and talking about it. It's it. You mentioned that. You mentioned something like Magnum TA today. And your average fan just is not really going to have a great understanding of that. But a lot of the fans who remember the old NWA days, people like me and Dean, for example, know about Magnum TA. And man, it's easily one of the biggest examples of what could have been in pro wrestling history. So I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
Okay, that's cool. But we have to do one before the series is all said and done. What if they turned Roman Reigns heel? Because we all know that is going to be a big controversy. What if they never did the double turn? Well, they would have turned eventually, so fuck it. Okay. I'll be honest. Raw and SmackDown didn't finish Raw. Didn't watch SmackDown. I hope they were good. I've been busy.
Well, here's what stood out to me about a couple things on each. And it's really, the episodes were certainly not worth going over in detail. They were not very good. There were some parts that were, fine. But, the bad booking of Baron Corbin continues. He moves to Raw.
Oh, my gosh.
And this is a chance to be pushed and finally elevated. And man, they've got him doing this, the comedy mid-card. And just, and I saw it coming a mile away, and I knew it, and I was just cringing.
No way, Jose.
No way, Jose pinned him on the tightest distraction. It was just...
Is that what happened?
Yeah. Such a cliche WWE book, by the numbers booking, just not good. It's like, yeah, it's like, oh, that's so funny. That's, but it makes him look so stupid. And if you want to have a character ever be serious and taken seriously and getting over, you can't keep doing shit like that. And you can't keep having them lose. Everyone can lose a couple of matches. That's fine. But if you're losing, more than you win, or if it's even close to 50-50, you're not getting over. I mean, it's, it's kind of common sense. So, yeah, that just is real puzzling to me. They need to give him more mic time where he's got bullet points or more freedom to say things off script.
Yeah.
Because I think we saw on Talking Smack, he's far better when he is using his own instincts to talk and not the really bad lines they're feeding him.
Talking Smack, Baron is best Baron.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, so they need to do that, and they need to just let him be what he is, this badass with an athletic and fighting background, and just let him be himself. This kind of like, making him look foolish, all the stuff they've done, losing the Money in the Bank and the distraction roll-ups and stuff like that. That's just, he's not going to get over doing that. So it just, you want your guys to get over. Even if you don't want them to be a world champion, you want them to get over, at least to a degree, because that puts more money in your pocket. So it just makes sense. The bad booking of Lashley kind of continues. It's really actually puzzling.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like bad. It's just nothing,
But that is bad, though, because this is the first impression since returning.
His entrance is awesome. I love his music. And he comes out like a badass, like he's ready to go. I'm like, all right, Bobby Lashley's here. I'm happy, and then nothing happens. Why hasn't he cut a promo yet? Yeah, why hasn't he cut a promo yet? Has he had mic time?
We don't know why he's back, what his motivation is. We don't know anything about him in the context of WWE in the WWE universe. That hasn't been explained. And all they've done is multi-man matches with this guy. And guess what he's got coming up at Backlash? A tag team match.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Why? With who? Is it Sammy and Kevin versus him and Braun?
Yes, they just threw it together.
Why?
Well, there's no reason. There's no why. There's no reason.
That match doesn't make sense.
Well, of course it doesn't. That's, this is what I'm talking about. There's no story there. And his work, which I thought, frankly, improved at Impact Wrestling, it has been sloppy since returning to WWE. I'm not sure what's going on, but it's been sloppy. So he's got to get that together. But they've got to do better with his character and providing direction on who he is, what his motivations are, and give him some time to shine alone without all these multi-man matches. So that stood out to me as well.
Wasn't there a good singles match on Raw?
Yeah. Well, Seth versus Finn was the best match of the night, and they've got this little rivalry going, which is fine.
That wasn't the one I was talking about. There was another one, wasn't there?
Was there another one?
No, the women. The women had a decent match.
I was very bored. I just wish I could have fast forwarded that. Unfortunately, I was watching live at the time.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah. So Finn and Seth had, a good match, the match of the night, but it was, there was parts of it I hated. And so, yeah, it's really athletic and it's back and forth and it's long and blah, blah, blah. But
Seth retained, right?
Yeah. But some of the no-sell spots, like that indie spot monkey style where you're hitting big move after big move and no-selling stuff. I hate that. I fucking hate it.
See, I don't mind that at all. That's okay with me.
I hate it. I don't like it.
You're allowed. You're allowed.
It takes me out of the match. So they had a good match otherwise. They just have to, they just have to use a little better, quote unquote, ring psychology. And of course, as Joey Ryan would say, anyone who tweets about ring psychology doesn't know what that means. And of course, he was making a tweet about ring psychology.
Of course.
Yeah. So what does that mean? But yeah, I mean, so otherwise, I thought it was a really good match. And they've got this cool kind of competitive feud going. That's cool. Ronda
Rousey, was she on the show?
Yeah, Ronda Rousey's kind of like the cleanup coming in and playing the hero of the day. And, that'll probably get old to some people eventually. But
is she going to, have a match soon? Or?
Yeah, that'll probably, my guess is she'll, probably be in a feud with Natty at some point.
What, it's SummerSlam? Is it her next match?
I don't know. I do like the idea of not using her all the time, though. I know the problem, of course, is they set a false expectation that she's going to be just like everybody else, and that's total bullshit. Everybody knew it. Well, should have known it. And they need to use her smart. She's the female Brock Lesnar. That's how they need to treat her, and she needs to be used a lot more tactically than an expendable talent that is there every week for TV. So that was pretty much Raw. SmackDown was very forgettable, except for
don't even start. No, I'm talking about it. No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed because you already need to change your pants. I know it. It's 7 states away. Big Cass brought out a little midget, and he called him Daniel Bryan, and he made fun of him because he was short. Yada yada yada. That's it. Given it was a good promo, but Brad can't talk about it because he'll get too excited. Because here's what he wants. He wants one of 3 things. I'm talking about you. You want thing 1, Baron versus Big Cass in a midget tossing match. These are Brad's dream matches of 2018. Okay,
I would throw Braun Strowman in there as well.
Or Braun. You're right. Okay, let's keep the trifecta together. Match idea number 2. Braun versus Big Cass versus Baron Corbin in a 60-minute Iron Man match where there are no roll-ups and you don't kick out of a finisher. Those obviously aren't stipulations. That's what would happen in the match. Okay? See, Brad can't talk. He's so full of jubilation.
I don't even know how that would be possible, but keep going.
I know. You're so excited. Or what they could do is start the show with Baron calling Daniel Bryan short. And then Big Cass comes out, looks down at Daniel and says the same thing. He said, "You short midget, you. I can't believe you're even here." And then Sami Zayn comes out, and then Braun comes out after and asks him why he's not driving a cab somewhere. And he's like, "You be never seen in the big and tall section." And then Brad comes out and gives them all bear hugs naked. I don't
know. What the hell have you been thinking about?
I don't know. I'm still stuck on the Riverdale ending from the other night.
Oh, wow.
See, it got dark real quick.
It did.
I do have since SmackDown was shit. Okay, what I'll get to this breaking news tip from the Meltzer in a second. But what do you think of Big Cass? I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
gonna let you have this big thing like I just did.
no, I thought it was, I liked that Baron Corbin was finally able to cut a promo.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't been giving him enough promo time. Him and Big Cass are two big guys that they could really do something with, that they have to protect, that they have to give promo time so they can connect better to the audience. And, if they do these things and not make them look like a bunch of fucking stupid goofs, then they'll get over and they'll be really big assets for the company. But if you've got Daniel Bryan tapping out Big Cass, and then you've got Baron Corbin getting distracted by Titus O'Neil, falling on stuff, falling over out of the ring, and you got Noah Jose rolling him up, the Adam Rose 2.0. Yeah, that is not how you build a superstar. So, they gave him a little more time on the mic. That's good. Giving them the TV time, good. But now you need to go a step further, protect them a little more, give them a little more freedom on the mic, and let these guys go. You want to build up contenders for the champions, people like the Roman Reigns and the Brock Lesnar's on Raws, and the guys like AJ Styles on SmackDown. You can do that, but you have to invest in these guys. And so I did like a little bit of that, but I think they need, they've still got a few steps to go.
I have a scoop. Well, it's from the Melts, but it's a scoop nonetheless. You ready?
Wow. Take it with a grain of salt, but yeah.
Sure. Actually, it was Mike Johnson. Ooh, even worse.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so take this with the largest grain of salt you've ever heard in your life, right? Mike Johnson discussed the possibility of the entire Cena and Nikki Bella breakup being a work. What? Giggle. Why?
Yeah, I heard that as well. Yes, I'm sure they are all over TV and the gossip magazines, working the entire nation as they talk about it.
Yeah. So you think it was legitimate, but now they're doing it for attention?
Yeah, I think it was legitimate, and now obviously they've got to cover it for TV.
Yeah.
They've got Total Bellas, and they've got to, shoot that breakup scene, and they've got to do the publicity for it. But I think, man, how cynical or out of touch do you have to be to think they just were a couple of weeks from their wedding and faked a breakup for a fake, a TV show? That's just, whoa.
Yeah, sounds dumb, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I don't agree with it either. Oh, well. You have some news for us before we go?
Yeah, so I think there was a report that came out from Dave Meltzer a couple of weeks ago, and I was asked about it. So, merch sellers, who's hot and who's not?
Ooh, can I play?
Well, you can if you'd like.
Sure. Well, you can give me the name and I'll say hot or not. Not just by their body, but their merch sales.
John Cena, hot or not?
Hot.
Yeah, Cena's number one in merch sales when he's around.
Yeah.
During those periods when he's not, these two guys usually pass him in sales.
Well, is Rusev the exception right now?
No.
Ooh, AJ Styles?
AJ Styles.
I don't want to say Roman. Is it Roman?
It is.
It is.
Yeah, so Cena's number one in merch sales when he's around, and during those periods when he's not, it's AJ Styles and Roman Reigns usually passing him in merch sales.
And it's funny, the two top guys on both shows are the two guys in, top three in merch sales.
Ronda Rousey's t-shirt sales are pretty solid, and Alexa Bliss as well.
Really? Alexa,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, actually, some of the women superstars are creeping into the top 10 to 15 in most merch sales, which, of course, used to be unheard of.
Yes. Well, they didn't even have T-shirts back then.
Or they were taking them off, Well,
they were taking them off. Well, now women can drive as of last year in Saudi Arabia, so good for them. They can not wear T-shirts in public. But Oh wow, we'll talk about that shit show sometime soon. God, what a disaster. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my Sami Zayn story, it was picked up by Newsweek and ripped off by, a couple of name brand journalists in wrestling news, we'll say. Yeah, so back to merch sales. Rollins, Finn, and Strowman are all doing really good merch sales, and Randy Orton still has a steady amount of merch sales. But did you notice who's absent from that list
Did you
that
say
has historically been on it?
Randy?
No.
Historically? Dean, Seth, what did you say? Well, Rusev, not historically. He's only
It's
been
a
on
group.
The Shield.
How about the New Day?
Oh, God.
Now, we've talked about how stale they've become as an act, and if merch
Yes.
sales are any indication, then plenty of fans agree, they are no longer a top seller.
Well, time to break them up.
It's a new day. Yes, it is.
Any other tidbits?
So there was a lot of questions about the go forward plan for the guy in WWE after Roman Reigns lost to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania and then the Greatest Royal Rumble event. A lot of people were wondering, is Roman Reigns still the guy in the eyes of WWE and Vince McMahon?
Yes, he is.
Well, of course, Vince is very high on Braun, and I was told that Vince has taken a personal interest in Braun's success. But as for who the guy is, there has been no indication internally that it's no longer Roman Reigns.
Yep. So it still is him. Deal with it, kids.
And finally, where in the world is Neville?
Sitting on a couch in Chicago.
Well, he used to live in Florida, but a source indicated to me that he has potentially left the country after saying goodbye to his friends and moved back to the UK a while ago under the radar. Another source told me that they haven't heard his name in the company in ages. So if you're waiting on that big comeback to WWE, don't hold your breath.
This is the the guy that creative forgot.
Yeah, I mean the guy that Height forgot.
Yes. Oh, he's probably stronger than both of us. The guy was very strong for his size.
Excellent physique, obviously, excellent in the ring, and certainly could have continued to contribute in some way for sure in the company.
He was a decent heel as king of the cruiserweights. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that, and I thought he was a nice boost to the cruiserweight division.
Sure.
And I know he probably wanted more than just the cruiserweight division, but I mean, when you're under 205 and you're not very tall at all, you're actually short. I mean, what are they supposed to do?
I don't know.
I mean, not everybody can be the Rey Mysterio. He's the exception to the rule.
And maybe soon Cien Almas, but we'll see. Was he on SmackDown?
No, they did another segment with him where he was not in the building.
Oh my gosh.
And they apparently did another segment with Sanity. Sanity wasn't there on SmackDown either.
Oh my god.
So I don't know when they're debuting.
I hope you like
that's going really well already.
I hope you like Sanity. I think they're fun.
I don't. No, I actually don't. I find them very boring.
You're the worst. Where can everyone find you on Twitter?
At the Brad Shepard, SHEPARD. You can find all of my work on professional wrestling at bodyslam.net. Make sure to check us out. We've got a lot of good stories there. We've got some hot scoops. You never know what's going to show up. And also you can find my sports work, nocoastbias.com. Got an article coming out on the NFL draft. So make sure to check that out as well.
Exclusive. You can find me at John Fisher TV on Twitter. Remember, kids, change your Twitter password. The government fucked us again. No, I don't know. That's not it. I guess there was some breach. Change your Twitter password. Do it. Twitter what? Oh, okay. According to my significant other, Twitter left their like 330 million customers unprotected. Change your passwords.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people in WWE that would love to see my Twitter account of the messages.
Oh, I'm sure. I am sure. Okay. Next week, I guess we can talk about Saudi Arabia next week. I have a migraine and I'm too tired. And on top of that, I don't want to until next week. But then, we'll talk about some other stuff. Oh, Backlash is Sunday. Cool beans. Forgot. Okay. I guess, Brad, I guess there's Backlash. We'll talk about what happened at Backlash next week. I forgot about it.
No, I mean, that'll be the real kind of like post-Superstar shakeup reset. I mean, this is all with the Greatest Royal Rumble and, kind of like the Backlash pay-per-view of people on different brands. Really, after Backlash is when we'll start to see I believe, the go-forward stories develop on each brand.
Yeah. Yeah. We're definitely going to see. So is there anything else before we go?
No.
Wow,
there is not.
That's 2 weeks in a row. Good.
Yeah,
Good
imagine that. Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Remember, WWE pay-per-views are co-branded. Make sure to watch their official music video that Saudi Arabia got pissed off at on their YouTube page. I'm sure it's there. And Riverdale Season 1 is on Netflix. Go watch that shit. We'll see you all next week.